So before I introduce the next speaker, I really would like to welcome the Cyber Defense Committee, sitting in the first two rows here. You're basically the leaders of cyber in NATO, of all the initiatives and all the developments, and we very much appreciated that you as a committee have chosen to be here today. It's because it's important that we learn from each other and we learn from industry, which the task of this event is, and get things going. So thank you very much for being here. And also would like to mention Vice Admiral Bruce Grooms. It's from ACT. He basically is the requirements boss. For me, a very important person, because we cannot do as an agency anything without them. So we first need to have a requirement, then we need some funding, and then we can get going. So let me introduce the next speaker. We're now going into the British perspective, the UK. And we have actually Chris Gibson here, who has been very busy, I think, in the last few weeks during the summit, because he is the leader of the UK CERT. And I know we have been busy during the summit, and we've worked together. It's in order to safeguard the security of both NATO and the summit. But Chris Gibson is actually, he has a long history in working in CERTs with the City Group for 12 years, I think. And at the same time, he was working with FIRST, the Incident Response and Security Teams collaboration. And the last 2 years, he was the chair of that group, of that forum. So if there's a person that understands how to work with a government CERT or a company CERT, and industry, it is him, because he has worked with all the big, companies, all the sharing the data to make the environment more secure, and we all know that in the banking world, the threat is at least comparable as what we see as the defense organizations. So, Chris, thank you very much for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure where to go after an introduction like that, but thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Thank you for inviting me here to speak to you today. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share our cyber experiences from the UK. As the Ambassador said, we're here to tell you how we've done some of this. I don't know if it's the full answer, but it adds value, and I hope we can use those experiences to work together, particularly against the backdrop of the recent Wales Summit and the ratification of the NATO Industry Cyber Partnership. As said, my background, Chris Gibson. I'm director of the newly formed CERT-UK, which is the UK's first national cyber emergency response team, or computer emergency response team. I joined last year from the financial sector, so I do have a very big background into private industry and so on. Part of the UK's mechanism for handling cybersecurity is our National Cybersecurity Strategy. It was published in 2011 and is the creation for the catalyst for the creation of CERT-UK. The Minister for the Cabinet Office formally launched CERT-UK in March this year. It was a key milestone in the development of our cybersecurity capabilities. And in creating the plans for CERT-UK, the UK government engaged in a wide range of stakeholders. This is both internal and key industries, as well as internationally. We identified 4 main areas of work. We are responsible for national cybersecurity incident management. Really, that focuses on the exercising and the planning, and if we have one, we'll deal with it, but we're rather hoping not to. We are responsible for cyber incident handling for critical national infrastructure. This is where we get our insight right into the actual things that are going on. We are responsible for cybersecurity situational awareness, and much more of that as we go through. And finally, we're the international point of contact for national CERT-to-CERT dialogue. Much of this was already done within the UK government, but it was done in different departments, it was done in different buildings, and it didn't gel. Bringing them into one structure, one location, allowed us to maximize all those synergies. We all work together, and this is producing significant benefits to us. But from the outset, the partnership with industry has been absolutely central to our interests and our thinking. In the UK, we consider C&I to be those most important assets, which enable the nation to function on a day-to-day basis. Before cyber, securing this was much more simple. It involved obvious sectors such as energy and water and transport, and was focused around protecting physical installations in the real world from terrorism and sabotage. Building high fences, putting up bollards, or increased manned guarding was often the answer. However, as we all know, it now absolutely needs to involve the cyberspace, and it needs to involve virtual security. The networks that underpin our society today give our adversaries many, many more options. An attack can be carried out from anywhere in the world. It is no longer necessary to have that direct access to the target. The cyber threat that we are seeing is very real and very serious. The UK government recognises this, and we identified cyber attacks as what we call a Tier 1 national threat. It's one of our very highest priorities for action. Those who would do us harm have been very, very busy. We all read of attacks to infrastructure across the world, launched from other countries or from other continents. In recent months, we've seen attacks on eBay, we've seen attacks on Target, Home Depot, and from my personal experience, the financial sector, where we spent a lot of time battling. These are the ones that are got through or have caused impact. Many, many, many others have not. And that is due to the continuing hard work of a number of organisations, globally, internationally, collaborating, coordinating, and partnering together. The complexity that we face is increased by the interconnection of the supply chain. The executives of Target, I'm sure, were not expecting an attack via the air conditioning contractor. However, through that, a cyber attack was launched, and significant senior execs have lost jobs and their employment over this. Complexity is also increased by the range of systems we use. The Heartbleed vulnerability meant that thousands of systems that were assessed to be secure were being tested and being monitored, were instantly vulnerable overnight. Nothing we could foresee. There was no way of measuring that risk. It just happens. So the old saw has come true. We have to be successful 100% of the time. The attacker needs to find one weakness. In the UK, we continue to be concerned with the threat to our CNI and the companies involved in it. But the range of businesses now being infiltrated goes beyond the CNI. Our adversaries are seeing opportunities to make money, they're making opportunities to steal intellectual property, and much, much worse. And where are these systems? They are not in government hands any longer. The vast majority of the UK CNI is in the private sector. So we have to partner with private industry to secure that CNI. We cannot do this. We can't do it on our own. They can't do it on our own. It is an absolute partnership. My team worked very closely with both industry, government, and academia to enhance this cyber resilience for the UK. We are part of the UK's Cabinet Office, which at the very centre of UK government, which gives us enormous advantages. As part of the UK national security machinery of government, we can draw on specialised government resources, and we can work to pass this on to our partners. We work closely with other government CERTs, industry CERTs, Janet, who run our academic network, as well as other national CERTs around the world. We work very closely with UK law enforcement to support campaigns tackling the likes of Game Over Zeus and CryptoLocker, and again, the law enforcement are a part of another partnership that works globally. These examples go on and on and on. Everybody is recognising that partnerships are the way forward and the only way to deal with this solution. With all of these, our aim is to build trust, foster collaboration, and encourage the sharing of information to develop the level of situational awareness we need to support our cybersecurity objectives. An example of the importance of this was realised earlier this year with the Heartbleed vulnerability, where we were able to share timely information with both our industry and overseas partners. The information on the bug was released overnight. We worked extremely swiftly with various partners to understand it, its effects, and how to mitigate and resolve that problem. And we were then able, well, all sides contributed to that. So we added, industry perspective, government perspective, and CERT perspectives. We could then feed that back to our partners as a 3-page document of this is the problem, this is what you need to do, and this is how to fix it. So that meant our partners did not need to spend the time doing the research. They did not need to spend the time working out the impact. We could provide them with that very quickly via our partnerships with them and with other industries and with other CERTs and government. We released that the same day, They could focus on fixing the problem, not researching it. Feedback on this was extremely complimentary from our partners. That was a real win. It was day 7 of going live, and it was a very good day. It's just one example of the power of partnership. An organization is only as strong as its weakest point. Even the smallest of holes in the armor can have far, far-reaching implications. And the responsibility for good cybersecurity has to be shared at all levels. The threat comes from a number of areas. We have foreign states. We have criminals, particularly the organized criminals who are extremely adept at this. We have hacktivists, as we saw at the last summit, who wanted to get publicity and so on from performing DDoS attacks and things just to make a political protest. But we also have individuals sat at home, unusual motivations, boosting their egos. It's pure personal interest. But they enjoy doing that. They enjoy working those systems and sharing their tools with other people, which then means everybody can do this. It becomes a very simple thing to do some of these activities. We all have to take responsibility for our own security, whether in government, whether in business, whether in our own homes, every time we go online. So we can all take quite simple actions to make the job of the adversary much, much harder. The most fundamental factor that organizations need to understand is what information is important to them and the risks that they are willing to accept. Industry has to be responsible for its own infrastructure. They need to understand their vulnerabilities and address them, because only they can decide on the appropriate mitigation they need to meet their day-to-day business requirements. Again, this is not something government can tell them. I have to work with industry for them to understand that. This may seem obvious, but it is not unusual to find organizations implementing policies without understanding that information and where it is and what assets they want to secure. The key message that the UK government is delivering is that this is a boardroom problem. This is not an IT problem. It has to be addressed from the top down. Verizon reported last year that most cyber attacks take a matter of hours. Many take minutes or even seconds. But then they reported that it can take weeks or months or even years for companies to realize that this has happened to them, as cases, certainly in the US retail sector, have very much highlighted. In many instances, the victim discovers that compromise because they're told by law enforcement, or by security firms, or even by competitors in the same industry who found that information. Again, this is why it is important to work collaboratively with industry and government, academia, and international partners to significantly enhance our resilience and to mitigate that vulnerability. As a group, we have incredible expertise. I look around the rooms that I speak to, and there's enormous, enormous expertise that we can draw on. Thousands of highly skilled individuals and a vast amount of information. We can get ahead of the game here. We can significantly disrupt and minimize the attacks that come towards us. The UK has a program we call the 10 Steps to Cybersecurity. It's a government product aimed at helping company boards understand that cyber risk better. It encourages organizations to identify their critical information and provides advice on protecting it and how to react. I'm really pleased that this is being pushed through and how this has raised awareness, but it is a first step towards a much, much greater goal. In recent weeks, the UK government launched Cyber Essentials, which is a new government-backed and industry-approved scheme to guide businesses in protecting themselves against cyber threats. The scheme aims to help UK businesses to demonstrate their use of best practice to their customers and partners, giving them a competitive edge on assurance in an environment that increasingly demands good cybersecurity. It is underpinned by technical expertise and analysis to determine the core set of actions businesses should take to protect themselves. It's not a legally mandated scheme. We don't enforce this. However, if you want to do business with the UK government, you will need to do this. So we're using that as a means of driving this through without making it a legal requirement. Is the message getting through? This year's PwC Global State of Information Security Survey showed the number of companies that have adopted an overall information security strategy has increased, 17.5%. It's a step in the right direction. It's progress. But there's so much more that we need to do to get this to the point we need to be at. In all of these things, it's partnership. All of them. It's government working with industry, working with academia, working with our technical resources to partner to get this better and make this world a more resilient and safe place. I talked about situational awareness. This is the heart of what we do. It is the heart of CERT-UK, and is the catalyst, we feel, to a degree, to the NATO Industry Cyber Partnership. In the UK, we have a Cybersecurity Information Sharing Partnership, or CISP, which is part of my team. Cyberspace is simply too big for any one organisation, whether public or private sector, to have sight of everything that is occurring. There is a massive need to pool our information for this mutual benefit. The CISP was launched just over a year ago, well, a year and a half, March 2013, again as a joint collaborative initiative between industry and government to provide a platform to share this cyber threat and vulnerability information. CISP encourages government and enables government and business partners to exchange information on threats and vulnerabilities as they occur, often in real time. It is important to note that it is not just for industry to share with government and government to share with industry. Industry sharing with industry has proved to be enormously valuable. As network defenders, as we call them, that's our target, help each other across industries and across sectors in better ways to deal with vulnerabilities and attacks that are ongoing. The value of CISP, we feel, is highlighted through the growing membership, which has increased sixfold in 16 months. In the last 6 months, we've expanded their reach. We're moving beyond the original target of the critical national infrastructure, and we're moving into the SME space and into the supply chain space, where we want to get these people to understand the risks they face and hopefully, understand why they need to resolve their problems. In recent work, CERT-UK has started working in conjunction with law enforcement partners to pilot a secure regional information sharing forum. So while we all think of cyber as no boundaries and no borders, we found that building trust within regions, within people who know each other and have met people, has value. So we are using that to build this information node. We call it a node. It's aimed at local businesses of all sizes. If the pilot proves successful, which and is showing every indication of doing so, the aim is that we will expand this for more regions across the UK. But integral to the information sharing is what we call our fusion cell. This brings together analysts from industry and government, including law enforcement. We currently have a dozen active companies in the fusion cell, with more working to join. Companies such as BT, Kinetic, BAE Systems, FireEye, City of London Police, and Microsoft are all on board. These are significant contributions to our cyber arena. They both have the breadth of knowledge we need, but they have the depth of knowledge in the industries and the verticals that they work in. So they can bring in that industry expertise right into the heart of our situational awareness and use that to help produce better information. They bring specialist skills, tools, and technical expertise. And they draw a single intelligence picture of cyber threats facing the UK for the benefit of all our partners. The work is posted onto the CISP for use as a best practice. So our members can then discuss that in a secure environment. Have they seen this? Is this affecting them? Have they got extra value to add to this? Or we can issue it as alerts or advisories. Again, feedback on this is very positive, with more members starting to contribute because they're seeing the value of doing this. The more businesses that we have on board, the more information that's shared, the better our situational awareness, and the greater our collective resilience will be. But the important point here is that this is a member-led initiative. Members feed information and intelligence into CISP. They report what they see in the real world out there in their businesses and industries in a real-time environment. The fusion cell can then take all of that, enrich the information from other businesses, because we have the ability to have industries in sort of separate chat rooms where they can maintain their trust levels. We can see across that and see if similar attacks are hitting similar sectors, retail against banking, or into finance against defense. That allows us to then enrich from our own government and international sources to produce really rich, solid situational awareness straight back for the membership to read. To make all of what I have spoken on possible, we have to have people with the correct skills. And the skills agenda, again, is high on our radar. The UK government is partnering with several leading universities to establish academic centres of excellence in cybersecurity research, funding for doctoral studentships, and to set up research institutes. We're working with schools to develop the IT curriculum and encourage the uptake of science, technology, engineering and maths through initiatives such as the UK Cybersecurity Challenge. Again, partnering, academia, business, industry. It's the way we have to do this. The cybersecurity strategy stresses the importance of this partnership in addressing government cybersecurity threats to the UK. Government departments across the board now work very closely with businesses of all sizes through a wide range of programs and initiatives, targeted engagement and sector partnerships. Through the National Cybersecurity Programme, we've taken steps to understand issues affecting the SMEs and drive us to affect business and change, as well as leading initiatives to improve cybersecurity practice. There are nearly 5 million small and medium-sized businesses in the UK. They make 99% of our private sector business. Yesterday, the UK government launched 2 more NSCP-funded projects to support collaboration and innovation amongst cybersecurity SMEs, ensuring they have a national voice. First, we're building the Cyber Connect project to map the UK's SME offer. So we're trying to rationalise how they see government and we see them, to make sure we can identify activities that will accelerate and support growth. And secondly, we're launching a cluster development project to provide support and guidance to establish clusters in areas of the UK where there is a concentration of cyber businesses. This builds on the success of the well-known Malvern Cybersecurity Cluster. This cluster has been able to share intelligence and expertise, network with other companies, and increase exposure to publicity. In turn, this helps with funding and contract opportunities. So to sum up, there are no boundaries in the cyber world. Cooperation and partnership are absolutely crucial. I'm trying to highlight today just a small part of what we've experienced in the past few months as we've built CERT-UK and across the UK government view. The NATO Industry Cyber Partnership is proposed as a way of formalising the contacts that NATO has with industry. We know in the UK from our CISP initiative that this has the potential to produce tangible, measurable results of improvement. And we have learned that the cornerstone of that success is extremely simple. It's all about trust. It works because it has government involvement, but it is business-led. Companies are under no compulsion to do this. Information is shared absolutely voluntarily. And I'm extremely confident that NATO can achieve a very similar position. To be successful, NICP will need to build upon existing partnerships. It will need to develop these relationships to support partners' cybersecurity situation awareness. This will pave the way for collaboration on incident handling and contribute to the Alliance's efforts across cyber defence education, training and exercising. And in many of our countries, work is already underway. The need to establish NICP is evident from the threat picture we see. Technology is moving on, opportunities are growing, and threats are changing. There will never be a steady state. There is always something more we can be doing to protect ourselves. I am very confident that the appetite to implement NICP is strong, and it will succeed. I wish the programme every success, and we look forward to supporting and contributing to this. I know we in the UK stand very ready to help. If you have questions on the CISP, my colleague will be doing a presentation this afternoon, so that's certainly in the programme. Other than that, again, I greatly appreciate the invitation to speak today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference. I don't know if we're doing questions now or later, or how that flies, so I leave it to you, sir.
Now we have some time for questions. Is there anyone who would like a question to Mr. Gibson? Please stand up and don't be shy.
I can step away from the podium now.
I think you have been very clear. It's because you said it's all about trust, and I think you gave us a very good insight in how your nation is building the trustless industry, and NATO can learn from that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.